Ladies and gentlemen, today on the Somewhat Podcast Men, we're going to be talking about Pakistan, a country in Southeast Asia that's been going through a little bit of turmoil recently. We got the two experts on the call, and myself, I'll just be a spectator. My name is Alex. Welcome aboard.
And I'm
This
Saint.
is Risque, and this is Risque.
I guess I think
It's got to be better than that, man.
was it turmoil or was it turmoil?
Turmoil.
Turmoil.
It's that Florida accent, you know? It kind of snuck in on me a little bit there, fellas.
Understood. Understood, Mr. Alex.
So what's been going on? Talk to me.
So
Saint, go ahead. You start.
I've got a lot to say. I'm just gonna kind of hold the dam here and let it burst out slowly, so we don't have a flood here. But go ahead, Rizwan. I really wanted you to start off because we've I was born there. I was born in Karachi. I've lived in Pakistan and experienced the daily life and seeing what's going on right now. There's a lot of emotions involved and a lot of criticism at the same time.
When did you move out?
I actually, about when I was 13 years old, we moved to England, lived in Wales, Cardiff for a while. And between that, we used to go back and forth. Like every summer we were there. So it was kind of not really moved out or anything till then, started living in Dubai. And Dubai is pretty much right next to Pakistan. Like, take a flight, you're right there in less than 6 hours. So till I moved to the United States, it's been a long time since I've gone back. I think the last time I went there was 2015. But
Risque?
Rizwan,
Risque.
you are quiet.
Yeah.
What about you, Risque?
We are in a podcast, right?
Yeah, I think we are.
You're like.
What's up?
You're like at a stop sign, not knowing when the green light's on.
Yeah. I'll take that as a cue to begin. So Alex, basically, recently what's happened is that the elected Prime Minister of Pakistan, Imran Khan, who used to be a world famous cricketer, and he was known for that, and he's gotten into politics over the last 25, 26 years. And after like a struggle, for over 20 years, he finally became prime minister about 3 years ago. Now, more recently, his government was overthrown by what's called a no confidence motion. And basically, the opposition parties all sort of got together and they succeeded in putting through what's called a no confidence motion, and he was ousted. And the way he was ousted has caused this eruption in Pakistan, which I don't think people have seen ever, where there's like a massive outpouring of anger and frustration in support of Imran Khan, because they felt that he was ousted through a combination of foreign conspiracy or interference, and that the people that were put into the power were basically the Bhutto and the Sharif family, and these people have previously ruled Pakistan like multiple times, and they've been known for massive corruption, money laundering, and have never really led to improvement in Pakistan's economic conditions. Yeah.
So it's like this. When Trump was president, and he had the riot at the Capitol, right? Instead of the small bunch that attacked the Capitol, or they were just, being tourists, let's say. I won't say it, rioting the Capitol. The 440 million population of the United States, take less 10% out of that. Just say they're liberals, they don't want to do anything. Let's say 400 million showed up at the steps of the Capitol. That's what we're talking about. That's how the people are out in the streets over there.
So, I got a in reverse question.
Okay.
Rizk, were you also born in Pakistan, or were you?
Yeah, I was born in Pakistan, and I initially moved to this country when I was about 5 or 6 years of age, and then I went back, and I did my high school in Pakistan. So I actually lived there for a significant amount of time. So I definitely have a good feel of the place
Right.
as far as that goes.
So let let me just give a background of Pakistan, if I may, and then you guys jump in because you probably know way more than I do. But from my understanding, Pakistan is a Southeast Asian country. For those of you who don't know who are listening, in Southeast Asia, it used to be part of the British protectorate in the subcontinent, which is India, Bangladesh, and Pakistan, and Nepal, right? And it used to be part of the British Crown, and the country, Pakistan itself, didn't really have any historical precedence until the 1950s, 1960s.
1947, it was independent.
Excuse me.
1947, yep.
And
August.
The idea behind the country was when the British were decimated after World War II and were forced by the Americans to give the subcontinent its freedom papers, its walking papers. The idea of Pakistan came from a Muslim minority group that wanted to give space for the Muslims in the subcontinent because they feared that the Hindu majority would take advantage of the Muslims there. So that's where the country grew, and that's where space became, part of this world.
Correct.
Right.
I mean, that's good synopsis.
That is, pretty much right on par. So, the Muslim minority.
Who's the founder of? Who's the founding father of Pakistan?
Muhammad Ali Jinnah, which they also call the Qayyad, and Jinnah was given a title given to him. There's actually a movie.
That's right.
There's a movie called Jinnah, 1989 release. 98, sorry, not 89. 98 release, and it has Christopher Lee play Quaid-e-Azam, actually.
Yeah.
Okay. And what happened after the founding of Pakistan? Muhammad Ali Jinnah, how long did he stay as president?
He actually, I think he actually passed away within the first year after,
this was his life's work.
Yep, that was his life's work. And right after Pakistan became independent, within the first year, he died of tuberculosis, which in fact nobody knew about. Like, he was sick.
Finally,
and it was like a very pinnacle of an issue. If Lord Mountbatten actually said in his memoir that had he knew that the Qaid was actually sick, that he would have delayed, the whole resolution for Pakistan, and he would have delayed it till he would have passed away.
And
let me add a point. Let me add a point here. And you know what? This is a very interesting tidbit in history. But do you guys know that the doctor of Jinnah was actually a Hindu guy?
Yeah.
Did you know, Alex? This is very interesting. That the doctor who knew he had tuberculosis was Hindu. He did not reveal it. So this is very interesting.
He was bound by the patient and doctor confidentiality. Like, he kept it a secret. So you got to look at that perspective in there, that people honoring their roles as their, for the professions. Had he, there was nothing stopping him other than his own morals and ethics.
Was before the partition of India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, was there conflict between Hindus and Muslims in the subcontinent?
Actually, if you look at it, Gandhi and Quaid-e-Azam actually got along pretty well. Gandhi had, if you read a lot of Gandhi's memoirs, he actually was fascinated by the Qaid.
Now, what about the population? Was there conflict between the two groups?
Initially, you got to look at it this way. The main thing between what they call the British All India And it was the Muslims and the Hindus kind of were united in the fact they wanted to get the British out of there.
What about before then?
This is right before. This is when the Brits came. They were pretty much united because the British looked down upon them pretty much equally. So, so they found a common purpose to fight the British rule. But
my understanding is before the British that there were.
Before the British, it were the Rajas and the the Baburs and the Tipu Sultans and all. So it was the Muslims ruled the.
It was the Mughal Empire.
Yeah, it was Mughal Empire.
It was right before the British was the Mughal Empire.
The Mughal Empire had to be taken down before the British took over.
So it was, to my understanding, my historical understanding is that there was a fractured ruling of the subcontinent. At times and at places there were the Rajas, which were Hindus, and at times and at places there were the Baburs and the Mughal Empire, which were Muslims. Now, historically, the conquerors of the subcontinent came from either they were Turkic or they came from Persia.
Yeah,
they were Arabs.
The majority of them, they were all Arab descendants.
Right down through Afghanistan into the subcontinent. So the majority.
But by the way, the only time India was like united under one rule was during the time of the Mughals.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the only time. That's the only time. Yeah, that was the only time. Mughals were Muslims.
Yep.
Like that's Mughals, famous Mughals are like Akbar, Shah Jahan, Babur, these types of people. That's the only time it was all of India was united under one rule was under the time of the Mughals. Okay. But going back to your question, Alex, what was happening is that like Muslims were increasingly getting worried about being under Hindu rule because in places where there were Hindu leaders, Muslims weren't getting the jobs, for example.
Right. Yeah.
Like they were being treated as second-class citizens. So there's a lot of sort of growing unrest as to what a future would look like if we lived under a Hindu sort of rule. So that's where this genesis of an idea of a separate nation for Muslims came from, and a lot of the prominent thinkers behind it include people like Muhammad Iqbal, known as Allama Iqbal. Allama Iqbal is an amazing personality. I mean, he was a genius. He was not only an eminent lawyer, he was a philosopher, he was an amazing poet, he was an amazing thinker. I mean, he studied abroad in Germany, England.
He's a well-known poet in Iran. Yeah. He had a lot of Persian. His poetry was like translated in Farsi. And he basically had the idea of a free Muslim state. Yeah. He's the one who propagated to Muhammad Ali Jinnah that the Muslims need their own country. And when in 1947 you had East and West Pakistan, which is now Bangladesh.
Right.
So the two majority areas where the Muslims were, they carved it out of India and became East Pakistan and West Pakistan. So that's how it was known till 1961 when West Pakistan separated and became Bangladesh.
No, East Pakistan became Bangladesh. West Pakistan is what we call Pakistan now.
You're correct. Yes.
And it was in 1971. Just a little sort of historical.
65 was the first war. 71 was the second war.
71 was when it was. But the partition itself was a bloody affair. Over 1 million people died during the partition. By the way, not many people know that.
So my family actually immigrated from Jalandhar, Punjab, area to the Sindh, Pakistan area now. But what I've heard from my grandfather, it was a pretty bloody migration.
Very traumatic. Very traumatic.
I mean, from what I know is that the partition had no real rhyme or reason to it.
The way the British divided it.
Yeah.
Right. The British arts on a map, so to speak.
Okay. Well, let me. Okay, so the philosophy of the partition is that like where the majority of people were Muslim was going to go to Pakistan, right?
Yes, but at the same time, that being said, and which I understand that the partition itself, to my understanding, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
didn't have any true rhyme or reason to it. It was to separate the Muslims from the Hindus,
Yeah.
majority Muslim areas to Pakistan.
Yeah.
But at the same time, divide cultural groups that had long historical
Yeah.
ties to their lands, like the Sikhs, the Baloch,
Punjab. Yeah.
the Punjabis. You know, these
Yeah. Punjabs.
split, and the what is the ethnic group in Afghanistan? Pathan.
Yeah.
Pakhtun. Yeah. Pakhtun.
Pakhtun.
They're the majority. Yeah.
So like historically, that northern area of Pakistan used to be part of the Afghan kingdom. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So let's say
Where-
when Pakistan was,
Yeah.
Pashtuns are.
so West Pakistan, which is current Pakistan, has 4 provinces. All right.
Yeah.
For a long time, the Northwest Frontier Province, which borders right to Afghanistan, now it's called the Pakhtunkhwa. Okay. But for a long time, it was called the Northwest Frontier Province. Then we got Balochistan, then we got Sindh, and we got Punjab. These are the 4 provinces the whole country is made of. And Punjab
Is there a free movement in Balochistan right now?
So right now, Balochistan
And-
is part of KPK, which is the Pakhtunkhwa. This is the whole 2 provinces kind of act like a single government.
Mm-hmm.
All right now, and this is all because Imran Khan actually united the whole tribal areas and kind of made a solid government there. Before that, that place was a mess. The tribals didn't want anything to do with the Pakistani government. They always were fighting. It was a literal mess. But so one of the things Imran Khan really did was unify the people in that area under a government, which since the birth of Pakistan has been a problem. So this was one of his biggest achievements, actually.
Right, that sounds like a great achievement. Now, just to track back a little bit.
Yeah.
After Muhammad Ali Jinnah passed,
Yeah.
who took over? Who took over the ruling government of Pakistan?
Liaquat Ali Khan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Liaquat Ali Khan.
Which-
Now-
then he was assassinated.
Yeah.
Who was
No,
assassinated?
but
I think it was he got shot. It was a Sikh guy,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
now, Alex, to your point, I think one of the when you compare India and Pakistan, there's a big difference, right? In terms of economic development, and India is a much more mature democracy, I would say, than Pakistan is. One of the main reasons is because I think Muhammad Ali Jinnah died so soon after the creation of Pakistan. Had he been around for a few years to help sort of stabilize things, I think our trajectory would have been very different. Now, in India, Nehru was the leader at the time of partition, and Nehru was a genius as well. He was a very great political statesman. Now, he was able to, I think, help sort of develop Indian democracy and the institution and do the institutional reforms that were needed to help them grow in a different direction than Pakistan. So that, I think, is one of the biggest tragedies is that we lost our visionary leader so soon after our birth, and I think we've not really recovered from that trauma.
The problem that stood at that time and till today, let's just put it this way, is that Pakistan has been passively enslaved by imperialism since that day. Every ruling party that has ruled Pakistan from that day, except for Bhutto, and I'll come back to that, they never voiced anything against the imperial masters or what they wanted out of the country, which is never developed to the point where they can become a threat. All right, economically always in turmoil, corrupt, and just keeping everything moving along and subdued. So
Right. So, what about you mentioned Bhutto? What did?
So
he's held in higher.
Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was an amazing statesman.
Wait. Who are we talking about? Are we talking about he or she?
He.
He.
Not Benazir Bhutto. He was the father of Benazir Bhutto. This is Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. So he actually was educated in England from Oxford. So he had spent a lot of time in England and everything, and he became like the first free thinker who actually said, no, Pakistan is not a country of slaves. We will have our own foreign policy. We will do what we want to do for the best of the country. All right? He was the mastermind behind the biggest Arab oil embargo. He actually told the Arabs, listen, you guys control what you control. You have the oil. You can dictate the rules. And, and this is the Shah. The King Faisal, basically, who then got assassinated by his own nephew.
Right.
All right. So this was because Bhutto gave him the idea to do the oil embargo. The Western powers took care of him, and then Bhutto was hanged by General Zia-ul-Haq. And in Pakistan, he was hanged, and they took care of him. And there's actually a quote by Henry Kissinger, who actually came to Pakistan and said, "We are going to make an example out of you." Literally. This has been recorded in history.
Right, because he rallied the Arabs to do the OPEC embargo. Okay.
Well, he was also a visionary. He was the one who wanted to develop Pakistan's nuclear program. He was the one who
was the first one to say that we will become a nuclear state.
And also, he wanted to unite the Muslim countries in a type of bloc, kind of like an EU for Muslim countries.
Like you have the European Union right now.
Yeah. He had a lot of sort of visionary ideas. He had a lot of visionary ideas.
He was hung by the General Haq. And,
the Pakistani,
right.
Right.
So then
what happened after the general?
General Zia-ul-Haq was the main guy who actually helped the United States with the help of the Afghanis, then called the Mujahideens, during the Cold War, and they broke the Soviet Union on the Afghans' back.
Yeah.
So we've been a military ruled country like forever almost now, even till today. The real decisions are made by the military chief of our army staff. Whatever he says happens. Whoever is going to be the democratic representative is dictated by him. It's an underlying thing,
So is there like a split in responsibility where the military is responsible for foreign policy and the prime minister for domestic?
But I think we need to like talk a little bit about the history of the military overthrowing governments in Pakistan. That's important for people to understand, because this is a crucial.
The pinnacle moment Pakistan stands right now is a cluster of this whole pot of cookery's been going on since then. Literally, it's come to that point in Pakistan.
Now, to understand Pakistani politics, you need to understand that in the past, the military has overthrown elected governments on numerous occasions. The first time was under General Ayub Khan in the 60s. Then it was Yahya Khan in the 70s, and then it was Zia-ul-Haq in the 80s. And then Pervez Musharraf in the 90s.
Yeah.
And no democratically elected government in Pakistan has been able to serve their 5-year term ever in its history.
Yeah.
Because the military is overthrown at some point or the other. So that is something that's very crucial.
Support from?
I'm sorry?
Where is the military getting its support from?
The United States. I'm just going to say it out.
Possibly.
I also don't want to gloss over something, right? So during the partition, there was East Pakistan and West Pakistan. And then, to my understanding, East Pakistan someone of Bengali descent won an election.
You're right. Yes, you're right.
Sheikh Mujib.
So he won the election to be the Prime Minister of East and West Pakistan.
Yes, that is true.
Was it the military that rejected this, or was it the civilian government that rejected it?
It was Zulfikar Bhutto who, I think, rejected it. Yeah.
Okay, so the civilian leader of Pakistan rejected the outcome of the election.
Absolutely.
And got the military involved, and then the whole Bangladesh-Pakistan war happened. Okay, all right. So that's another topic for another day.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask that question. So
no, you're definitely right on that. There was a big bias that they didn't want a Bengali leader to be the prime minister of Pakistan. So it's one of the darkest parts of our history. So they forced the election in favor of Bhutto.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that was also one of the main reasons that we actually lost. Bangladesh became independent, separated from Pakistan. It was one of the main reasons also because we took a bias against them.
Right.
So the whole ill feelings between the people started at that point.
Okay. So let's move forward a little bit. Ziaul Haq was overthrown, or
he died in a helicopter crash.
Okay.
Not yet crash. The helicopter took off and it blew up.
That was weird. No one really understands.
It wasn't weird. We all know what happened. So it was his time to be replaced. That's it.
And then Musharraf took over from Benazir Bhutto.
Not right away. Musharraf doesn't come in play till after, because after Ziaul Haq, I think Junejo was a prime minister for a little while. Then Benazir took power.
And Nawaz
Sharif. So the main two families, you gotta remember, have been the main spotlight in Pakistani politics. Either them or the other.
Just one question, real quick. So, from my reading of articles and historical understanding, is that Nawaz Sharif was prepared to get into an actual physical hot war with India, and this is why Musharraf stepped in. Is that true?
No. This is basically when the nuclear test was done by India, and Nawaz Sharif was actually against the test because he was under pressure by the Americans. Don't do it. Bill Clinton, he kept telling him, don't pull that button. And in his interview, Nawaz Sharif pretty much admitted straight up that had it not been the overwhelming, the population of Pakistan's pressure, that we gotta give India a response, he would have never tested the nuclear weapon or declared Pakistan a nuclear state. So
the reason Nawaz Sharif was overthrown by General Pervez Musharraf was because Nawaz Sharif was planning on sacking him as army chief.
Okay, that makes sense.
And Pervez Musharraf found out about that. And before Nawaz Sharif could sack him, he sacked him.
I got you.
So basically, is what happened.
So Bhutto tried to come back. She was killed. They say it was by Pervez Musharraf who killed her.
It's speculation. There's no.
I think her husband is the one who killed her because he's like, man, we gotta get rid of these Bhuttos. When am I gonna become president?
Wait a second, Saint. Are you insinuating that a husband would ever want to kill his wife? Saint? I am shocked.
I'm not insinuating. I am actually saying he did kill him.
What?
Did kill
That's a bold claim.
I've said it.
So now
that's a bold claim.
Soon.
So now we come to the current prime minister who was overthrown. Imran Khan. So
first, you got to look at this. Who Imran Khan is? He was a cricket player. All right.
Yeah.
Well-known cricket player. He did great for Pakistan as far as goes in cricket. We won the 1995 World Cup. I remember watching it literally
92.
92. Yeah, I'm off on the dates.
But
I'm hitting it pretty close.
You're getting close, man.
Yeah. So, and I remember watching it. It was Ramadan in Pakistan at that time, and we had got up for Suhoor, and my grandfather and we were like glued to the TV watching England and Pakistan in the final, and wow, that was a night. It was a morning actually for us.
There is no sport that is more boring than cricket. I'm sorry.
That's blasphemy, dude. We can't have you. We can't have you.
Like, what the hell's even going on there? It was like a broke ass baseball, son.
Well, anyways, so let's talk about Imran Khan.
We're just gonna pass this tangent.
Yeah.
I'll tell you something. There is no much more fun than seeing the Brits lose to Pakistan in the World Cup in Australia.
Yeah, that's harder than the Brits losing at anything.
True.
But that.
Well, let's talk about Imran Khan, the man, though. I mean, he's done much more than cricket.
So you gotta. So Imran Khan, after his cricket career, he built the first cancer hospital in Pakistan.
Yes.
Because his mother died of cancer, so he wanted to do something, to give memory to his mother's illness and help the people in Pakistan. And to this day, Shaukat Khanum Cancer Hospital in Pakistan gives free treatment to people who cannot afford to have cancer therapies. This is true.
Yes.
It's a completely run by fundraisers. It's a hospital run, and if you're poor, you cannot afford any treatment for cancer therapy, you go there, you get treatment for free. And there's three hospitals now in Pakistan. Okay, so after he did that, he actually had Princess Diana come to the first hospital because she actually did a lot of fundraising for it too. And he then married one of the biggest. Her dad was a real estate.
Goldsmith family.
Yeah, they're
like billionaires.
Yeah, billionaires in England. So well known. And so he married Jemima, and she came to Pakistan and lived there for quite a few years before she became a target of the political issues, because at that point Imran Khan started to enter politics, and I think it was 1996, 97 when he started.
When he started.
As soon as he started in politics.
He married a British woman?
Yeah. A British Jewish woman. A British Jewish woman. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, and then she became. I got you. I understand. Yeah.
So
that's unfair.
He broke the heart of like millions of Pakistani women for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's unfair that they targeted his wife, But I understand.
Yeah, it is.
I'll tell you the reason to target his wife. They didn't target her till he entered politics.
Yes. Yeah.
As soon as he entered politics, he became fair play. Get it?
Yeah, but that's par for the course with.
It comes with the territory, and she was thrown in a court affairs for taking this tile set, which.
Oh yeah. It's a really bad
it's one of the most moronic things you could ever come up with to harass somebody. Like, they said the tiles she was taking to England were ancient or of historic artifacts. What you want to put it. They're putting it in that category. But the truth was, those tiles were a copy of the relics. All right, they had those designs, and she wanted to maybe tile her bathroom or something. Exactly. But now she's been run in Pakistani courts for a year, being harassed for the tiles. All right, that she stole the tiles, for God's sake. So after that, she went back, and he said, "Listen, I gotta do this. I gotta do this for my country." Like that. You gotta look at this. How insane this guy is. He gave up a life that he. Of easiness, to live easily without any issues,
of comfort, of wealth, of fame, to try to run the country.
But he chose I'll just put it this way: the shit fest in his face instead.
What?
Yeah.
So some things I do want to talk about a little bit, right? So from what you guys are telling me is that Pakistan doesn't have exactly the best economy. So. India right now is a superpower. It's a powerhouse.
Yeah.
And sure. that being said, it's a powerhouse for a certain percentage in the country. Like, the rest of the country is impoverished. Like, and that. But Pakistan is not a powerhouse economically. While it should be. It has major ports. It has access to the Indian Ocean. Technically, it could bring all the goods and services that come from north of it, down through it, into its ports and out to the world. So just as a shipping nation itself, and as a transportation hub, it should be an extremely powerful success.
They have not been utilizing the potential they have.
Now, is it because of infighting between groups of people in Pakistan, or is it outside influence? What is it?
It's outside influence because the people who have been in power, the Nawaz Sharifs and the Bhuttos, they were delegated by the Western imperial masters. I'll just put it this way. Take them as what they are.
I'll challenge you on that because you had mentioned that the military was being supported by the United States. And now you're saying the civilian government's
you'll understand that because what's happening now is pretty much has come to full clear. And so why the people of Pakistan are out in the streets? They have only one narrative they believe now, so clear, like it's as clear as day. All right, nobody can deter them on the other narrative. It's because the 16 parties that the corrupt rulers have been ruling through are against one party of Imran Khan. They all are on one side, and he's on one side. All right, and
but that still doesn't support your claim. You had mentioned that the military was being supported by the state's foreign. Now, and the civilian government, which is typically at loggerheads with the military
before the vote of no confidence happened, and I'm going to put this in perspective now. Before he was taken down, before the night the vote of no confidence took place in the parliament, he had a paper in his hand, and in a speech he said, "We have intercepted a cipher through our foreign embassy in the United States, which has very undiplomatic language written in it. And a cipher is released when somebody threatens, the foreign minister to pass down this information. The information as said and validated by the Secret Service in Pakistan. And this is all in the news right now. It said that if you do not remove Imran Khan's government through the vote of no confidence, then we will take measures to remove him ourselves. And if you do succeed in removing him with the vote of no confidence, then we will forgive Pakistan for its, shortcomings." This was a straight threat to the foreign embassy minister here in the United States.
Yeah, but that also can be, politics. That could be politics. Right. Imran Khan is playing politics as well.
Yeah, but then our the Fox News channel here in the United States actually proved that theory wrong, which you're just talking about. Because, actually, I'll send you the link of the video, which actually made big headlines. This came out about 4 days ago. Boldly said by one of the defense analysts on Fox News. So what would be your message to Pakistan, the nuclear state and has a big army and we have interest in there? And she goes, well, here's the news to Pakistan. They need to stop making any more relations with Russia and back us on Ukraine. They have to ease up on their relations with China on the CPEC, contracts, and stop making any more anti-American policies. It is one of the reasons Imran Khan, their previous prime minister, was removed through a vote of no confidence. She said it just like I said it right now.
Now let me kind of answer Alex as well. I might have a slightly different take than Saint on this, so let me just sort of put it out there. I understand the whole concept of foreign interference and regime change, and the U.S. government does have a history of regime change in places like Central America, for example, and things like that. But I'm also of the opinion that you can't blame all your problems on foreign interference as well. I'm of the opinion that the other issue is that Pakistan, unfortunately, has had these corrupt, money-hungry politicians that have been ruling, and their only goal is to enrich themselves at the cost of society. So when Alex, you asked why, like, given the potential that Pakistan has with all its resources and people power, why hasn't it progressed economically? One of the main reasons is because these corrupt people have been just taking turns ruling the country, and they're using it like a personal ATM basically, and enriching themselves. So I think a lot of blame has to go on the type of leaders that have been elected to actually lead the country.
I actually agree with you.
Yeah.
Apart from me saying, where the orders came from, the enactors, unfortunately, we have the traitors, you would say.
Yeah. So like let me just kind of interject, right? So it makes sense to an extent what you're saying, what you guys are saying, right? So Pakistan had an elected government. The United States didn't like the elected government for whatever reason, encouraged the military to overthrow the government and replace it with another elected government or with the military government. So the military is, and all you have to do is look at the hardware of Pakistan, F-16s, et cetera, et cetera. And so it makes sense. Okay, the military is being supported by the United States, and historically the reason for that was that the Soviet Union was supporting India. Soviet Union was an integral ally of the Indian government during the Cold War, and the United States supported Pakistan as its hedge against India in the subcontinent area. Correct?
Right.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, so like in order for Pakistan to be a true competition for India, it would have had to have a strong economy.
Yeah.
Okay? And the United States would have supported it economically and militarily. Okay, so the kickback now, or the response now, is you're saying that the United States supported its military. Then we went further down historically. We went further down. Hold on. We went further down historically, and now you're accusing the United States of telling the Bhuttos and the Sharifs what to do, which is civilian government, which is at loggerheads with the military since the military overthrew them. So which one is it? Are they supporting the civilian government? Are they supporting the military government? To me, what it sounds like is that the United States tried to support Pakistan through its economic, civilian government, and military means, and the leadership of Pakistan failed at its task. That's what it sounds like to me. And then now, Imran Khan, as an astute politician, as he should be, is using the United States as a boogeyman to kind of be like, oh, the U.S. overthrew me, this is why it's happening. That's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah,
that's plausible. That's plausible.
It's plausible, but here's the thing. The current Prime Minister, Shahbaz Sharif, who's the brother of Nawaz Sharif, and Nawaz Sharif actually is out on bail and hiding in England right now. Yeah. And his brother was supposed to go in prison the day he took the oath of Prime Minister. Yeah. So the military dictated the vote of no confidence on the behest of the imperial masters, the Western imperial masters, and put crooks, straight up crooks. I mean, the cabinet is made of 29 people. Out of the 29, 18 of them are out on bail. Out on bail. They're all crooks.
Yeah, again, like I would say that I formally disagree with you in your viewpoint. Like I think that while the United States does have a large history of interference in foreign policy and invading countries, and we can go on and on and on. There's no responsibility.
Let me shift it.
I don't think that the United States has actively.
So I'm gonna bring you back to where we were talking about, the Soviet Union. Before the breakup of the Soviet Union, they were allied with India, and the United States was allied with Pakistan, and during the Cold War. The dynamics have changed now. China has become a prominent economic powerhouse in the region, and they've been allied with Pakistan in developing JFs, JF-7s, the Pakistan's, the first owned built military aircraft, because the F-16s are outdated now and they don't use them anymore because the United States stopped supplying any of their parts or anything. So they had to develop their own, fighters. So the CPAC has been the biggest bone for the United States to swallow down, because they don't want China making any more contracts with Pakistan, because China's been developing a lot with Pakistan, and they've been trying to build the Silk Road so they can have more access to the Western, the Middle Eastern, Western Europe area. And the one thing Pakistan has been told is to drop the CPAC completely, which was the first move the installed government did as when they took power.
And then replace it with what? All right.
They don't want to replace it with anything. They want the United States, like, we'll give you, contracts instead of the CPAC thing, which I call bullshit, because they never gave us the 12 F-16s from Benazir's time they promised, which are paid for. Let me put it that way too. We've paid the money. We never got the damn planes.
From reading up on the United States, so I had the privilege of listening to Army National Army War College lecture about Pakistan, and the speaker was saying that Pakistan has never proven itself to be a trusted ally of the United States.
That's
time and time again.
Because right now they blame their leaving Afghanistan all on Pakistan.
So they say that time and time again throughout the history of Pakistan, that the Pakistani government and the Pakistani military has not been shown to be trustworthy. That they'll say one thing and do something else. That they'll insinuate one thing and behind their back try to sabotage the relationship.
Well, basically they're doing the same thing the Americans do to them. They say.
But let me take this conversation to a different level, because you're never going to prove this one way or the other.
Yeah, that's true.
I would say that, let's be honest here, all nations have their own interests. Nations are not friends with each other.
Right.
The United States has its own interests, Pakistan has its own interests, India has its own interests, and that is fine.
Right.
That is fine. That's not the issue here. I personally think that Pakistan, and I guess I'm going to lean more towards what Alex on this is. I think Pakistan needs to focus more in-house. It's like people, like, what's that saying that people in glass houses shouldn't throw stones? Like, I think Pakistan needs to get its internal house in order, on a massive scale, and I think that's where the focus should be. So let's kind of go back to Imran Khan. I think
what you just said. So let's say why Imran Khan was actually removed. What were the things he did made it more like why he needed to be removed? First thing, the KPK government he installed in Balochistan and the Pakhtunkhwa. He united those two provinces and made a stable government there. Non-corrupt, let me tell you. To this day, they can't find one corruption case against the guy, which is unheard of in Pakistan. The guy is clean as a whistle. All right? He literally he created the, it was the medical program for the people of Pakistan, the really poor one, medical cards, which is worth 10 lakh rupees, which is like 1 million rupees. All right, and they can straight go to a hospital and get treated for it without paying a dime. This is for all the poor people, and the people who are laborers, who do day-to-day labor jobs, rest houses for them. He built so they are not sleeping on the streets. And then he
increase taxes or implement tax reform.
He actually collected taxes in the history of Pakistan like never before. Nobody paid taxes.
Maybe that's why he was removed.
Well, yeah, because the rich people who are there, who are business people, they're why do we want to pay taxes?
The rich and the powerful now have an incentive to remove a standing prime minister, irregardless of what foreign policy might be involved.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
So the FBR, which is like the IRS, equivalent in Pakistan, in the history of Pakistan, they collected taxes in billions. It's never been done before. Which is a revenue for Pakistan, because the previous governments, that what they keep doing is they keep borrowing from IMF to pay the interest on the previous loans. This is how Pakistan's been run till today. Borrow a loan to pay the loan off.
Right.
I mean, how do you even survive doing that?
Let's move forward, because then now we're just going to get into a rabbit hole right now. So he was overthrown. There's a existing government right now. The people are protesting. You're saying the majority of the people are protesting. Rizky, do you agree?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his rallies, for example, he's been doing rallies that no time in history, the amount of people that have been coming out and supporting him. Just if you just YouTube Imran Khan rallies, I mean, I'm talking about like hundreds and thousands of people coming to a rally, in the heat in Pakistan. I mean,
in Ramadan.
But how does he regain his office now? What happens then?
Basically, what he's trying to do is use the power of the people.
Yeah, that's what he's trying to do.
He's going to do a long march to the Parliament House in Islamabad, which is the capital of Pakistan. He's trying to bring 50 lakh people, which is round about 5 million people, right on the streets, march to the capital, and then just sit there till they give free and fair elections and let the people choose their government. Not
he's trying to force an election.
Early elections.
Yeah.
But he can't do this through the parliament.
No, because they voted him out. What he did was, when he got voted out, all his assembly, all his ministers, they gave in their resignation. So there's not even a full parliament house to govern the country right now.
So why would they give their resignation? Why wouldn't they stay and fight?
To actually force an election, because you can't run a government with half the parliamentarians missing.
So now there's no functional government.
Exactly.
It's very dysfunctional.
Yeah.
And what's the military doing in all this right now?
The military is sitting their ass saying they're neutral, but they're not, because. So there's an internal conflict in the military right now too. There's the big core of the military. Especially the retired. So today, as right now we are talking, right? There were 2 generals, and 2 brigadiers. They gave in their resignations in protest of what's happening in the military. They don't have confidence in serving the military, so they gave in their resignations. Now, the retired core of the military right now is the biggest supporter of Imran Khan. They are literally trying to court-martial the Chief of Army Staff, General Bajwa.
Okay, so hold on. You said the retired core of the military,
right?
Which is old military officials who supposedly are at the beck and call of the United States, are supporting Imran Khan.
No, they're not at the beck and call of. If you're supporting Imran Khan, here's the thing. When I say the military, it's not the whole military. Just know, the power in the military is dictated by the Chief of Army Staff or the Joint Chiefs, like the top. These are the top guys. There's 4 of them, and among these 4 is one of the head of the secret ISI agency. He's also a military guy. So these 4 guys have the say in what happens, basically. It's 4 powerful dudes, and one of them we know is corrupt, because he's the one who installed this government. And what's back and forth, you got to also realize that Nawaz Sharifs are pretty stupid too. They actually call out the military straight up in their in their jalsas, you want to call it. They're pretty dumb. They blame them directly, calling them out. Hey, you put us here, now what is this shit show? Like, what is this? You never told us the people are going to be out in the streets calling us chor in Medina and Makkah, Come on. We can't even leave our houses. That's what's happening in Pakistan. They beat up one of the... What's the guy's name? He actually is the... he came here and talked with the IMF. He came to the Karachi airport and he got slippered, man. People were beating him up with their slippers at the airport.
Wait, who?
What's his name? Let me look it up right now. Yeah.
Oh, Miftah Ismail.
Miftah Ismail. Miftah Ismail.
Yeah.
So when is this march supposed to happen?
So the call he gave is on the 20th May. The long march starts.
But let's be honest here. He may or may not do it.
Yes.
I think what he's trying to pressure. Basically, he's trying to pressure. He's trying to pressure the establishment, which is the military, into forcing early elections. I think that's what his game plan is.
So basically, what right now the installed government consists of the Nawaz Sharif and the Bhutto party. They actually have to join forces to install the government. All right.
It's only a matter of time before they backstab each other.
The whole government right now stands because of 2 seats. They lose if 2 people say, you know what, we've had enough with this bullshit, and we don't want to support it. The whole government falls.
Okay, so he's putting maximum pressure on these individuals.
Yeah.
If he can get 2 people to change their mind, this whole thing is over.
Well, yeah, I mean, if it's just 2 people, I see eventually, something will bend, but let's see what happens on the 26th or the 27th or whatever day he's supposed to have.
You also got to realize there's been like attacks on him, 2 attacks which weren't succeeded. One of his guys, the chief of staff, press staff, which is still with him. I mean, they're not in power anymore. Somebody on the motorway bumped his car off the road. Had he not had seat belts on, because he's lived in the United States a lot, so the guy knows how to put a seat belt on, he'd be dead now. So yeah, so this is also happening.
They say, always put on your seatbelt, bro. There's no excuse.
What's that?
They always say, put on your seatbelt. So this chief of press, chief of staff must have been a captain. I'm just joking.
But you know what, though?
Check this out. He used to be a teacher.
Driver in New York.
His name is Shabazz Gill, and he actually used to teach in the United States. He was a teacher before he actually started working with Imran Khan. If you look at his cabinet, a majority of them, were non-political backgrounds. That none of them had political backgrounds. They were actually
people have a natural incentive to try to want to make their country a better place. Pakistan's a very, very strange, unique country.
I will agree with you on that. It's an anomaly.
It's because of how it was set up, right?
Yeah.
Not because of anything bad, right? It's strange because of how it was created, but what was created from. That there are large groups of ethnic population in Pakistan that are split between countries. It's not a natural country. It's not a natural border. In historical terms, Pakistan was either part of Afghanistan or part of the Rajas. And what I mean by part of Afghanistan is that it was conquered down through Afghanistan.
Pakistan is true to the national language, which is Urdu, and Urdu, as we all know, comes from Turkish word, and it was a combination of Turkish, Persian, and Arabic. It was a slang that became Urdu because that's how all the soldiers communicated with each other. Urdu became like a language. So between
the unifying force in the country. What else is the unifying force in the country?
But at this point, it's the first time in history of Pakistan that the Sindhi, the Balochi, the Afghani, the Pathan, and the Punjabi, they have forgotten those differences, and
now
they're united in one cause right now, just one.
Yeah, cause. Let me speak for a few. I think this, and then we should probably end this episode soon. But obviously, I think we're gonna have to continue this because there's so much more to talk about. But one really interesting thing is if you listen to Imran Khan, right? And I think one thing that we didn't talk about was that his own character development.
Yeah.
Now, his own character development is that he used to be like, a playboy type of person, for example. Like he's, very good looking guy, women throwing themselves at him. Alex, I'm sure you probably can't relate to that.
Definitely.
I'm just kidding. No, but
all you ladies out there.
Oh no, but I'm sorry. Yeah. So he lived like he was influenced. Like he studied at Oxford. So he was well versed in the Western culture. If you read his autobiography and you look at his character development, he actually gone on a very religious and spiritual path. And he was influenced by this guy by the name of Mia Bashir, who was like his mentor, a spiritual guide. And Imran Khan has become a very spiritual, religious type of person, and he talks a lot about the Prophet Muhammad. He talks a lot about the state of Medina. He calls it Riyasat Medina, and what his vision is that he wants to bring those types of ideals and character development to the people of Pakistan through that model. To give you an example, one program that he implemented, which I think was brilliant and which he doesn't get a lot of credit for, he started a program where they teach the biography of the Prophet to young kids, starting at a young age.
Yeah.
This is an amazing program. Just look at his vision, right? I mean, this guy is and I think the reason why so many people have his message is resonating with them is because, number one, they see that he's sincere, that he's honest, that he's never had any type of corruption issues. They see that, and that a lot of his programs are for the more downtrodden of society, right? He talks a lot about character development, and he's a visionary. These other people like Nawaz Sharif, they're not really visionaries, to be honest. I mean, they never really put up any type of vision which can unite all the people.
Yeah, what's the plan?
So what? Yeah, and then think about it. What did the Prophet do in Medina? What did the Prophet do that was so great? He unified people, and he raised their character, the character development. And Imran Khan talks a lot about this. He talks a lot about character development in people as crucial for any society to flourish. And this is the message I think that's resonating. This is the message that no one else has really talked about. And this is the reason why I think he gives so much hope to people. So I just wanted to add that there.
No,
right, and was his teacher a Sufi? You said he was a Sufi.
I mean, he was kind of like of the Sufi mindset type of person. Yeah.
Excellent.
Okay.
I mean, I think that this conversation is a fascinating conversation.
Yeah.
We definitely should, bring this up again in one of our later topics. This is I believe, our 6th podcast, if I'm not mistaken. We got 4 more, and then we'll be going live. And I just want to say, the two of you have inspired me to learn more about Pakistan and read up more on it. And I definitely would do that. And an individual is always in good company when the people who he's talking to inspire him to learn more. And I appreciate that.
You're welcome. That means a lot. No, that's very kind.
Thank you. Any final remarks?
Saint?
You're in for a good education on that subject.
Thank you.
I would say to the listeners out there, do your own research.
Right.
Do your own research. Like we've talked about in previous podcasts, like we did about propaganda, for example, right? Obviously, you want to be able to shift through all the noise and try to come up with a reasoned, logical basis for your opinions. And I would say that when it comes to this situation with Imran Khan, just read his life story. To me, when you read the life story and you look at his life story compared to the life story of the other leaders we've had, the character development you see in him, I think, is a big clue, basically, as to the sincerity of the individual. Like we had pointed out to earlier, this guy was married to a billionaire heiress, Jemima Goldsmith, who's beautiful, gorgeous lady. He has two children with her, two sons with her. He could have moved to England, when she was the victim of political attacks. But you know what he told her? He goes, "No, I can't leave my country. I want to do something for them." To me, that should tell us something about a character of a person. Anyways, so that's what I would end with.
Awesome.
Yeah, and just before we end it, it took him 26 years to become the Prime Minister of Pakistan.
Yeah, that's true.
That's
he struggled for a long time.
That is his political struggle to get to this point. So, yeah.
Well, let's close it out with a message from our sponsors.
Yes.
Today's podcast was brought to you by Khalas Energy Drink. One drink. Khalas. Along with Stay Fresh Bidet. Stay Fresh Bidet. Squirt, squirt, go to work.
Well, boys.
What about Stay Fresh Lota? What happened to them?
They asked me to Stay Fresh Bidet, so our
Oh, you gotta find out about Lotas.
Asian.
Oh, yeah.
You gotta find out about Lotas.
Asian viewers understand what it is, Plus, they offer these products for Western Europeans. It's a bidet, so I don't think the Europeans and Americans are really into using flower pots to wash their ass.
Oh no!
So.
See, the Lotas are also a electable symbol for the people who betray their partners in Pakistan.
Yes.
They're called Lotas.
They're called Lotas.
Lotas. All right, fellas.
Stay fresh. All right, guys.
All right, this has been a great podcast, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. And we'll be back soon. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. Thank you. Peace out. Peace. 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 Peace.